The massive holographic display aboard the Celestial Empire's flagship shimmered with uncertainty as High Sovereign Nexus reviewed the latest transmission from Earth. Their crystalline form, usually radiating with supreme confidence, flickered with an unfamiliar emotion: confusion. "Replay the human response," Nexus commanded, their voice resonating through the quantum crystal chamber. The message materialized again. "Thank you for your invasion threat. We've thoroughly analyzed your approach and would like to provide constructive feedback. Current rating, B. Areas for improvement, originality, presentation, and psychological impact. Detailed assessment attached." First speaker Vexther's translucent form pulsed with agitation. "High Sovereign, in 10,000 cycles of conquest, no species has ever graded our intimidation tactics." In her office at Earth's Global Defense Headquarters, Dr. Eleanor Walsh studied the Empire's initial contact message with barely contained excitement. The walls around her displayed endless streams of data, analyzing every nuance of the alien transmission. 20 years of preparing humanity for this moment was about to pay off. "They really did follow the exact protocol predicted in your thesis, Doctor," her assistant remarked, scrolling through historical invasion patterns. Eleanor allowed herself a small smile. "Predictable. They've been the dominant force for so long, they've lost the ability to innovate. Send the next response package." Aboard the flagship, General Kyrax's metallic form trembled with rage as new data packets flooded their systems. They're publishing academic papers about our tactical approaches. A statistical analysis of Celestial Empire invasion patterns, a case study in strategic stagnation. Science Director Zaller interrupted, their ethereal form brightening with genuine interest. "The methodology in this paper is actually quite sound. Their peer review process is remarkably thorough." "Silence," Nexus commanded, but uncertainty had crept into their resonance. "Deploy the intimidation fleet. Show these primitives the true might of the Empire." On Earth, Eleanor watched the fleet's deployment through countless civilian smartphones, tablets, and social media feeds. The Empire's cloaking technology was impressive, but they hadn't counted on 7 billion human sensors connected through a global network. Dr. Walsh, a junior analyst, burst into her office. "You need to see this, the civilian response to the fleet." Eleanor's screens filled with social media posts. Humans worldwide were posting selfies with the partially cloaked Empire ships in the background. Memes were spreading faster than light. Empire aesthetic was trending globally. Someone had already created a TikTok dance challenge featuring the Empire's threatening gestures. "Perfect," Eleanor murmured. "They have no defense against this kind of response. Send the next analysis package." The Empire's command center erupted in chaos as their systems were flooded with human academic publications. Social impact of dramatic cape billowing in alien intimidation attempts. Psychological analysis of overcompensation in galactic empire aesthetic. A beginner's guide to spotting generic invasion threats. "High Sovereign," Vexther's voice wavered. "We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet. They appear to have significant technological capabilities we didn't initially observe." Nexus's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "Explain." They could have achieved faster-than-light travel decades ago. They chose not to. They've been watching us, studying us all this time." In her office, Eleanor prepared the final message of the day. The Empire was about to learn that humanity had turned their own greatest weapon against them: data. For decades, Earth had analyzed, cataloged, and studied every Empire encounter, every invasion, every conquest. They had built an unprecedented understanding of how the Empire thought, moved, and acted. The message she sent was simple: preliminary research complete. Thank you for participating in our study of advanced civilization behavior patterns. Your Empire has provided invaluable data for our understanding of strategic evolution, or lack thereof. Would you be interested in receiving our complete analysis? We believe you'll find the results enlightening." As the message reached the Empire's flagship, Eleanor smiled. Sometimes the best way to fight wasn't with weapons at all. Sometimes The most devastating response to a show of force was to turn it into a case study. Admiral Viktor Petrov stood at the Global Defense Force Command Center's panoramic window, watching the sunset glint off the Empire's cloaked vessels. Their attempts at invisibility were becoming almost endearing. Behind him, dozens of holographic screens tracked social media engagement with the invasion fleet. "Sir, you might want to see this," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out. "Someone just started a Rate My Empire Ship subreddit. It's gotten 2 million subscribers in the last hour." Petrov allowed himself a rare smile. "How's our friend Kyrex's flagship doing?" "Currently rated 6.510. Most comments criticize the overuse of spikes as trying too hard." Aboard the Empire flagship, General Kyrex's metallic form radiated fury as another burst of human transmissions flooded their systems. "There, critiquing our ship designs with memes." Science Director Zaller's ethereal presence brightened with interest. "The human's ability to process and analyze complex data through humor is fascinating. Their latest tactical assessment of our fleet formation actually includes suggestions for improved aesthetic appeal while maintaining strategic advantage." "Enough," Kyrex thundered. "Deploy the planetary containment grid. Let's see them make memes about that." On Earth, Dr. Alina Walsh's team tracked the Empire's energy signatures as they positioned their containment vessels. She turned to Admiral Petrov's hologram. "They're following the exact pattern documented in the Proxima Centauri incident. Time to implement Phase 2. Petrov nodded. "Do it." Across Earth, millions of civilian devices activated hidden protocols. The Empire's containment grid suddenly found itself mapped by billions of interconnected sensors, each providing real-time analysis of its weaknesses. Humanity had turned their entire planet into one vast intelligence-gathering network. First Speaker Vexther materialized in the Empire's command center, their translucent form pulsing with concern. "High Sovereign, the humans! They're not just observing us. They're crowdsourcing tactical analysis of our every move." High Sovereign Nexus's crystalline structure dimmed. "Explain." "Their civilian population is collectively analyzing our technology, our tactics, our psychological warfare patterns. They're treating our invasion as a global research project." In orbit, Admiral Petrov's carefully positioned defense fleet finally revealed itself. Not with dramatic flourish or threatening gestures, but with a series of targeted electromagnetic pulses that precisely matched the frequencies the humans had discovered in their years of studying Empire technology. The Empire's containment grid flickered. "Impossible," Kyrex roared as status reports flooded in. "Their weapons are calibrated to our exact shield frequencies." Dr. Walsh's voice came through on all Empire channels. "We've taken the liberty of compiling a comprehensive analysis of your shield modulation patterns over the last 50 years. Would you like to review our methodology? The paper has already been peer-reviewed." Nexus's form crackled with growing unease. How long have they been studying us?" "Long enough," Walsh replied, "to document 743 distinct tactical patterns in your conquest approaches. Though I must note, the last 300 years show a marked lack of innovation. We've prepared a detailed trend analysis." The Empire's command staff watched in stunned silence as their supposedly superior containment technology was systematically dissected by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Humanity hadn't just prepared for this invasion, they had turned it into a teaching moment. Admiral Petrov's fleet continued its precisely choreographed dance through the Empire's defenses, each movement accompanied by detailed technical annotations being broadcast on all frequencies. Earth's civilian population continued their relentless documentation and analysis, turning the Empire's greatest show of force into the galaxy's most comprehensive case study in military stagnation. "Should we perhaps," Zaller suggested carefully, "consider their offer to review their analysis? From a purely scientific perspective, their methodology is impressive." Kyrax's form vibrated with outrage, but beneath the anger was a new sensation: doubt. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced an opponent who had turned their own greatest weapon, their history of conquest, against them. In her office, Eleanor Walsh prepared the next phase of Earth's response. Sometimes, the most effective defense wasn't in matching force with force, but in understanding your opponent so thoroughly that their every move became a lesson in their own limitations. The Empire was about to learn that they had spent so long being the galaxy's teacher, they had forgotten how to be students. Dr. Jun Nakamura's quantum engineering lab beneath Mount Fuji hummed with activity as holographic displays showed the Empire fleet's increasingly erratic movements. His team had spent decades preparing for this moment, reverse engineering fragments of alien technology that had fallen to Earth over centuries. "Begin the quantum resonance sequence," he commanded, his fingers dancing across the crystalline control interface. "Let's show them what we've learned from their technological breadcrumbs." Across Earth's hidden facilities, advanced systems that had been kept dormant for decades awakened. The planet's apparent technological level had been a carefully maintained illusion, hiding capabilities that matched or exceeded the Empire's own. Aboard the Empire flagship, Science Director Zaller's ethereal form pulsed with alarm. "High Sovereign, we're detecting impossible energy signatures from the planet's surface." High Sovereign Nexus's crystalline structure darkened. "Explain." "They're activating quantum resonance technologies that mirror our own, but the configurations, they're more advanced than our current systems. They've taken our basic principles and evolved them beyond our understanding." In his lab, Nakamura activated the final sequence. Quantum fields shimmed around Earth, not as a defensive barrier, but as a demonstration. The fields took shapes that should have been impossible according to standard Empire science, forming complex geometric patterns that represented entirely new approaches to quantum manipulation. "Send the technical documentation package," he instructed his team. "Let them see exactly how far behind they've fallen." The Empire's command center erupted in chaos as their systems were flooded with detailed scientific papers, each one meticulously documenting how humanity had taken scattered pieces of Empire technology and revolutionized them through innovative thinking and experimentation. "These designs," Zaller whispered, their form flickering with a mixture of horror and admiration. "They didn't just copy our technology, they understood it, improved it, created entirely new applications we never imagined." General Kyrax's metallic form vibrated with fury. "Impossible. They're a primitive species. They shouldn't even understand our basic principles." "That's where you're wrong," Dr. Eleanor Walsh's voice came through their communications system. "We understood your principles so well that we saw their limitations. While you've spent centuries perfecting the same technologies, we've been exploring entirely new directions." Commander Zhao Wei's diplomatic vessel emerged from Earth's atmosphere, surrounded by a quantum field that defied the Empire's understanding of physics. "We invite your scientific delegation to review our findings. After all, the pursuit of knowledge should transcend conflict, shouldn't it?" Dr. Nakamura's team activated their final demonstration. Across the globe, hidden quantum arrays synchronized, creating a planetary display of technological mastery that rendered the Empire's most advanced systems obsolete. Each demonstration was accompanied by detailed technical documentation, showing not just the what, but the how and why of humanity's innovations. "Fascinating," Zaller muttered, absorbing the flood of data. "They've taken theoretical concepts our scientists dismissed centuries ago and proven them viable. Their approach to quantum mechanics is revolutionary." First Speaker Vexler materialized beside Nexus, their form troubled. "High Sovereign, they're not just matching our capabilities. They're showing us possibilities we never considered. Their civilian research institutions are publishing papers that challenge the fundamental assumptions of our scientific understanding." In his lab, Nakamura watched the Empire's reactions through their own quantum communications network, a network they didn't realize humanity had long since learned to access. "They're beginning to understand," he told Walsh through their secure channel. "The question is, will their pride let them admit it?" "Their entire civilization is built on the assumption of their technological superiority," Walsh replied. We're not just challenging their military might, we're challenging their very identity. Above Earth, the Empire fleet hung motionless, their commanders watching in stunned silence as humanity systematically demonstrated mastery of technologies the Empire had thought impossible. Each demonstration came with an open invitation for scientific collaboration, turning what should have been a simple conquest into a profound question about the nature of progress itself. Nakamura prepared the final phase of his demonstrations. Sometimes, he mused to his team, the greatest weapon isn't the technology you possess, but your willingness to imagine beyond its current limitations. The Empire stopped imagining centuries ago. We never did. The quantum displays around Earth shifted again, forming patterns that represented the future of science itself. A future the Empire could be part of if they were willing to learn rather than conquer, to collaborate rather than command. The choice, and its consequences, would reshape the galaxy's balance of power forever. The Empire's Grand Council chamber, normally a model of crystalline order, churned with chaos as faction leaders argued over the unprecedented situation on Earth. High Sovereign Nexus watched their most powerful advisors dissolve into something they had never experienced before: doubt. The humans aren't just refusing to submit. First Speaker Vexther's form pulsed with agitation. They're systematically deconstructing every foundation of our authority. Our latest intimidation fleet didn't even reach Earth's orbit before they published a comprehensive critique of its tactical and aesthetic weaknesses. General Kyrax's metallic structure trembled. Then we should strike now with everything we have. And prove their thesis about our predictable response patterns, Science Director Zaller countered. Their latest academic paper already anticipates that exact reaction. They've titled it Patterns of Self-Defeating Aggression in Declining Empires, a Predictive Model. On Earth, Commander Zhao Wei stood before the United Earth Council, presenting the latest psychological analysis of the Empire's leadership. The massive chamber's holographic displays showed real-time emotional readings from the Empire's command structure, courtesy of quantum sensors they didn't know humans could build. They're experiencing what we predicted, Zhao explained, her voice calm but firm. Their entire civilization is built on the assumption of absolute superiority. By challenging that assumption with data rather than defiance, we've forced them to question their own identity. In orbit, Admiral Petrov's fleet continued its precise dance around the Empire's positions, each movement accompanied by detailed performance metrics and suggested improvements, all broadcast on frequencies the Empire couldn't block. Earth's civilian population had turned the invasion into a global research project, with universities worldwide publishing peer-reviewed papers on Empire psychology, technology, and tactics. Their latest transmission, Vexther announced to the Grand Council, includes an invitation to participate in an academic conference titled Innovation Stagnation in Type II Civilizations, a case study. They've reserved us a keynote speaking slot. Nexus's crystalline form dimmed further. How did we lose control of this situation so completely? In her office, Dr. Alina Walsh reviewed the Empire's internal communications, watching their carefully maintained hierarchy crumble under the weight of human analysis. Send the next package, she instructed her team. Let's see how they handle their own historical data. The Empire's command center was flooded with a comprehensive study of their conquest history, showing how their tactics had remained unchanged for centuries, while their potential for innovation slowly withered. Each data point was meticulously documented, each conclusion supported by their own historical records. These humans, Zaller mused, their scientific curiosity overwhelming their loyalty protocols. They've turned our greatest strength into our fundamental weakness. Our consistency, our adherence to tradition, has made us predictable, Vexther finished. While we saw their chaotic nature as primitive, they were actually evolving, Nexus concluded, their voice carrying a new emotion, respect. Commander Zhao Wei's diplomatic vessel approached the Empire flagship, broadcasting on all frequencies. We understand this situation is unprecedented in your history. Her voice carried both authority and empathy. Change is difficult, especially for a civilization that has defined itself through constancy. Perhaps we could offer some insights from our own experience with rapid cultural evolution. The Empire's Grand Council watched in stunned silence as humans offered to help them understand their own cultural stagnation. The species they had come to conquer was instead offering them a path to renewal. Dr. Walsh's voice joined the transmission. Your Empire's greatest challenge isn't external but internal. You've spent so long being the teachers of the galaxy that you've forgotten how to learn. We're not your enemies, we're your wake-up call. In the Grand Council chamber, a junior analyst's observation cut through the tension. They're not trying to defeat us, they're trying to help us. Nexus studied Earth's latest transmission, which contained not threats or demands, but a detailed proposal for cultural and technological exchange. The humans had taken the Empire's moment of weakness and turned it into an opportunity for mutual growth. General Kyrax's form radiated frustration. This isn't how conquest is supposed to work. Perhaps, Zalor replied softly, that's precisely their point. The Great Hall of the United Earth Council glowed with ethereal light as representatives from both civilizations gathered for what history would later call the galaxy's first academic diplomatic summit. High sovereign Nexus's crystalline form shimmered with an emotion their species had long forgotten: humility. Dr. Alina Walsh stood at the central podium, her holographic displays showing the culmination of decades of human research into the Empire's civilization. Today marks not the end of a conflict, but the beginning of an exchange. Our species took different paths through the cosmos, but perhaps that's exactly why we have so much to learn from each other. The Empire's delegation, once proud conquerors, now sat as eager students. Science Director Zalor's form pulsed with excitement as Dr. Jun Nakamura demonstrated Earth's quantum innovations, each breakthrough challenging centuries of Empire assumptions. Your adaptation of our basic principles is extraordinary, Zalor admitted. You saw possibilities we had become too rigid to imagine. Admiral Petrov and General Kyrax, once potential adversaries, stood together examining tactical simulations. Your traditional formations are perfectly executed, Petrov observed, but perfect execution of outdated strategies. It is still outdated, Kyrax finished, their metallic form resonating with newfound understanding. We became so focused on maintaining our standards that we stopped questioning them. Commander Zhao Wei led a session on cultural exchange, her diplomatic skills now focused on building bridges rather than preventing war. Both our civilizations faced a choice, she explained. The Empire chose stability, Earth chose adaptation. Neither path was wrong, but perhaps the future lies in finding a balance between them. In orbit, Earth's and Empire ships now danced together in joint exercises, each learning from the other's strengths. The Empire's precision merged with human creativity, creating new formations that neither civilization could have developed alone. First Speaker Vexther addressed the assembly, their form glowing with renewed purpose. For millennia, we believed teaching was our sacred duty to lesser civilizations. Today, we learn perhaps our greatest lesson, that true wisdom lies in remaining always a student. High Sovereign Nexus rose to respond. Our Empire's greatest conquest was not to be. Instead, we found something far more valuable, a civilization that conquered our assumptions rather than our forces. Earth has shown us that true strength lies not in maintaining power, but in maintaining curiosity. Dr. Walsh's team had already begun establishing joint research initiatives, combining Empire resources with human innovation. Universities across Earth were partnering with Empire institutions, creating a new model of galactic cooperation. The universe is vast, Walsh concluded, but perhaps its greatest mysteries lie not in unexplored space, but in unexplored possibilities. When we first detected your Empire's approach, we had a choice: prepare for war or prepare for something unprecedented. We chose to study rather than fear, to understand rather than resist. In the years that followed, the relationship between Earth and the Empire transformed the galaxy. The Empire's vast knowledge, combined with human creativity and adaptability, accelerated scientific progress beyond what either civilization could have achieved alone. Their story became a model for future first contact scenarios, proving that the greatest victories sometimes come not through conquest, but through collaboration. As the summit concluded, Nexus and Walsh stood together watching Earth's sunset, a sight the Empire's leader had once planned to extinguish but now cherished as a symbol of new beginnings. "Your species," Nexus observed, "turned our invasion into a teaching moment." Walsh smiled. "And your species learned perhaps the most valuable lesson of all, that true power lies not in being unquestionably right, but in being endlessly willing to question." Above them, Empire and Earth ships continued their joint maneuvers, their combined formations telling the story of two civilizations that had found something greater than conquest: the courage to change, the wisdom to learn, and the strength to imagine new possibilities together. The galaxy watched and learned, as humanity's boldest message echoed through the cosmos. Sometimes the greatest victory is not in defeating an enemy, but in transforming them into allies in the endless quest for knowledge and understanding.